looks brilliant, give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Can I get you out of my hand again? Is it wrong? Is it right? It's like I've won my final war without a fight. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. I know you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy.
To be alive, just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks a beat down, I cross the ledge just to tell you, don't lead the way, don't even say that I drown with the colors playing in the rain. I feel like I'm fading.
Come on, give it all you got. You're trying to save me, but you're making it worse. Every time you hear these words, I'll be down the road, cause I know the odds are better on my side. Why don't you try to be wise? Help me, I'm calling you cry.
I never wanted to be alive, just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks a beat down, I cross the ledge just to tell you, don't lead the way, don't even say that I drown with a
I am in misery.
Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all are judging me when I'm lying on the ground. I've got no shelter, I've got no escape. My life is a prison and I can't run away. I feel it in my bones, I'm losing it all. Stuck in my head, I am in misery. Deep inside myself, all I get, my only family. Stuck in the grave, can someone rescue me? I'm burning alive, I got it, I am in
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Taking Over. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries, joined, as always, by my tag team partner, the Nastral, the Hollywood Astrid, the queen of our local establishment. The Natural, I'm sure there's about 15 other nicknames that you've been given that I've forgotten about.
Good.
Ashley Pizarro is here.
Good. Forget about the nicknames.
No, we can never forget about all of your wonderful nicknames. 8 minutes late here, Taps Watch. I mean, we start... Now, just so we're clear, we start when we start. But also, I was in the room at 10:02.
So,
I was in the room at 10:02.
so, why are you calling me out like that? Come on, dude.
Somebody had other things that were more important.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, it is indeed more important. That's besides the point.
Yeah.
Millie is indeed here. We were talking about Millie before. Again, and talking about other things we were talking about before the show went on the air. Millie's here.
But we were also doing
Good.
Duolingo at the same time, so
We were both doing Duolingo at the same time. Because I didn't want to get another passive-aggressive bullshit message from Astrid's Duolingo. Those things are aggressive, man. Let me tell you.
the funny part is that I wish I could see them before I send this so I could laugh about it, but I can't see them until you tell me about it.
Wait. Yes. There was a comment made by somebody else in one of our lives, and they asked if Billy was going to be at the show. And I said, hold on, I know a quick way to find out. And I quickly looked to see if Allison Kay was on Twitch tonight.
Yes.
We'll talk about Dark State because I have thoughts, and it's thoughts because I was watching another show, good friends of ours, Amanda Savage and DC Hendricks. God, I can't believe I almost forgot DC's name. I forgot his last name. I knew it was DC, but I couldn't remember what his last name was for the life of me for a second. I was watching them last week after we went off the air because finally, for the first time, I can watch their show live because they air the same time we do. But because we did a watch along, I was able to be in their chat. And we'll talk about it now. Let's start from the beginning. Oh, no. We do not have time to start from the beginning with me and Astrid. So, Dark State. The question was brought up to them. None of these four feel like a leader. Who's the hidden leader of Dark State? We have the two options right in front of us right now.
Yeah.
I think the leader of Dark State is either Javon Evans or Trick Williams. They were the ones who put me on Trick because originally I thought it was going to be somebody else. And I had a couple different names. And I'll be honest, neither of them were Trick or Javon. I did have some other names, but neither of them were Trick or Javon. But I'm starting to think, and Ophelia's on there with Trick's the leader. We got Noob in the chat saying he thinks it's either Trick Williams or Javon Evans. That seems to be the likely way. Again, Trick does seem a bit too obvious, and I think Trick's going to the main roster. So it seems weird that it would be Trick. However, I like the Javon Evans angle of this. He gets mad, he gets beat up, and especially tonight. And remember, most groups always attack their leader for some stupid reason in all of wrestling. And Bobby can attest to this more than anything. When you have a group with a hidden leader, almost 9 times out of 10, one of the people that's attacked by said group is the hidden leader. Let us not forget Retribution. Oh, wait. I hear something. What's going on?
You're watching OLE, and this is a Dijak Hijack.
Oh, I said Retribution and he showed up. It's almost like Joe Hendry. You say his name and he appears. You say Retribution and, well, he gets mad at you.
I was going to say, also,
I got to see him in like 2 weeks. Well, I'm not going, but I'm going. I'm going to try to.
That also reminds me of that horror movie trope of like you also get the killer like attacked somehow, or like they fake their death so you can take them off your list until they get revealed at the end. So it's very similar to that.
How much did you? No, so I'll give you the inside scoop on this one because this one's fun. Dijak was doing this shortly after he got released from WWE, and he was raising money for a GoFundMe, I believe it was. And he says, anybody who donates X amount of money for this GoFundMe, send me your proof of purchase, and I'll make you a less than 1 minute, clip. And so, yes, we did that, and we basically were like, just call it a Dijak Hijack, something we could just pop on the air and say that it was great. I still love it. We don't get a chance to play it often enough anymore now that he's gone. But, yeah, I mean, and by the way, I love seeing all the people in the chat. Everybody's very excited. Logan James saying Trick Williams is leader of the faction. It's a possibility, but it's... I don't know what you do with it. Like, what do you do? So Trick, it's fine. Like, I like Trick as the leader. Trick as the leader makes a lot of sense. in terms of where he's going, what his story's doing. But it seems like it would be holding him back more than helping him. Because he's already a two-time NXT champion. He really doesn't have much to do. He should go to the main roster because he's going to get a reaction. You can put him back with Carmelo Hayes because now he's essentially a heel. Like, for all intents and purposes, Trick Williams is a heel.
Yeah.
So I think you could easily have him go up there, have one segment with Carmelo Hayes to be like, look, you were right. I was wrong. Fuck the people. We're back. And then you push him and Melo. Melo gets that US title at WrestleMania, and then you push him on from there. I think there's a lot you can do with Trick on the main roster. Javon Evans, on the other hand, I love the idea of this young kid who's been being told by everybody that he needs to get tough. He needs to get mean. Well, how else do you get mean? You get mean and you get tough. You get a group of 4 guys to beat the shit out of people for you. I like it. I think there's a lot to like about this, especially if they do something like that. But we're going to have to wait and see what's going on. But at least they finally did something with Dark State tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It only took, 6 weeks?
I was about to say, it feels like a month.
They've been around for like 6 weeks. Last time they were here, we were watching with Santi. That's how long ago. We were talking with Santi the last time Dark State did anything of relevance.
Dang.
Yeah. It's just... And by the way, this won't be my only rant of the night. I have more. I've been talked off the ledge of 2 of them, but I still have more. But let's start where NXT...
I'll say 1.
What's that?
I'll say 1.
No, I'm going to leave the other one alone because it doesn't pertain to NXT. Save it for Sunday.
I was going to say, it tied up to what you were just saying about the F the people thing that...
Yeah, no, it fits there, but I didn't think you'd like it if I hammered it in there just because I used
I thought
that
you were
line.
going to. I was just waiting for it.
No, I thought about it. I set myself up just in case I'm allowed to. No, it's not an AEW rant. I don't rant about AEW. Believe it or not, of all the things I've ranted about, I've only ranted once about AEW. I rant more about the NWA than I do AEW, which should tell you something. Most of my rants are about the NWA.
The NWA was the most popular one, I would say that.
Oh, that was fucking gold. And by the way, that douchebag is back making the rounds, as Astrid pointed out to me. He's doing a comedy show that's coming literally.
No. You have to do it like this. Comedy show, right? We have to give it like that, at least.
Yeah. Anyways. No, I don't hate all wrestling. I only hated the NWA and that Tyrus was their champion. And that Billy Corgan told me if I didn't like it, I wasn't a wrestling fan.
Billy Pumpkins.
Billy Pumpkins, yeah. I actually called him by his real name for once.
I know, it's surprising.
But let's get off me. Millie, I have so much haterade for this show. This bottle isn't enough haterade for this show. I'm jacked up tonight. This is going to be a fun one. We start with Chelsea Green taking on and defeating Sol Ruca. Astrid, my rant is coming in soon, so go ahead and do this because I have my rant coming.
It was fine. I was gonna say it wasn't like terrible, but it wasn't good either. So I'm very in between about it. I tried to. I can't always do it, but I tried to. Yeah, I don't know how to describe this match. That's the only thing. Not what I thought it was gonna be. It's so.
I really liked this match. The match I really liked, but I had a problem. I had a problem because this entire match got hijacked by Booker T on commentary. This entire match got hijacked by Booker T on commentary. He was ranting and raving about how Stephanie Vaquer needs to defend her titles weekly and monthly like Roxanne did, to which I asked, is he talking about in his own version of 2K25? Because Lord knows Roxanne barely defended that title unless she absolutely had to. I also wrote down that Vic made a comment about G.I. Bro at some point during this show. And for those that don't remember, G.I. Bro is a WCW incarnation of Booker T, where he was in a group called the Misfits in Action, otherwise called MIA, where they had Tylene Buck in the group, who was only there for one reason, because they called her Major Guns. Take the leap wherever you need to with that one. You'll be right.
What the F?
Yeah. I'll show you a picture later of Misfits in Action.
I don't know if I want to look.
It's a group of all kinds of terrible people. Let me tell you, it's all kinds of crap people in that group.
That doesn't make me feel any better.
Anyway, Booker goes on this rant about talking about how every time he thinks about MIA, he only thinks about Major Guns. To which I put, get Booker T the fuck off commentary. At this point, he's worse than both Jerry Lawler at his puppy stage and Michael Cole as heel Cole in the coal mine.
Okay.
He's actively making me pay less attention to the things on my screen now because of the ranting and raving of this fucking lunatic. And I'm sick and tired of it. They need to get him off commentary. Charmel needs to put him in a fucking chastity belt that she can... I don't know how many people saw How I Met Your Mother. Or more importantly, how many saw How I Met Your Father. Because at the very end of How I Met Your Father, in the very last episode, Barney comes back. And Barney has a very particular punishment for him thinking about sex and ladies. And he has an electric shock collar somewhere where an electric shock collar doesn't belong. And they need that for Booker T. Because he is so far and beyond giving good commentary that at this point, I almost wish there was no commentary. Because I had to go back and watch this match again on mute while watching everything else on the show to actually get to enjoy this. Because it's a good match. So Ruca sells very well. The crowd is super into Chelsea Green. At one point, they were fucking reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Like, what the fuck is that? What, like, her gimmick is over like gangbusters. Was the match a 5-star match? No, but it was really good. It was really entertaining. And if it hadn't been for Booker T ruining it by ranting and raving for 3/4 of this match, I really would have enjoyed this match a whole lot more than I was able to the first time I watched it. I think Soul is ready for the main roster. Push her up now. Just send her up. Don't wait. Don't give her a title. Just push her to the main roster. We can start getting rid of some of the either some of the women that are past their prime, who are better left to go to the PC and teach, or we can start de-pushing some of the veteran talent and continue to push some of the young talent. Because on SmackDown, B-Fab had one of her best matches she's ever had. That match with Charlotte, say what you want about Charlotte. We all can and we all have. Say what you want about Charlotte. On Friday night, Friday afternoon, that match with B-Fab was fantastic. B-Fab looked great. Now again, it's not a 5-star classic, but it's Charlotte bringing out the best out of a young talent, and B-Fab's promo beforehand was really good. She made me actually give a shit how badly Charlotte beat her up in that match. And then Charlotte and Tiffany decided to match, and that was a problem. Besides the point. There's enough women in NXT that can get the push up to the main roster that you can start de-pushing the 4 horsewomen, not get rid of, but bring their push down a bit. and you need to start pushing this younger generation. There's also a small group of women in WWE that I think would do better with being brought back down to NXT to make more room in the women's division for the talented women that are already ready for the main roster that don't need the seasoning. And again, I'm not going to list names because that's not fair to the talent, because it's my opinion and not a collective whole. No, we're not talking about Natalya. We're not talking about Tamina without talking about them to their face. I love both of them, but both of them need to be off my television screen as quickly as possible. Yes, Charlotte is my girl. I have loved the Queen for many a years. But again, rant over, Booker T, get him the fuck off commentary, get him some kind of a collar so every time he starts talking about the women, he gets shocked, because at least that would be entertaining. You have Corey Graves. You have a perfectly fine Corey Graves sitting there. Granted, I know you don't have him for 3 weeks while they're in Europe, but you have a perfectly fine Corey Graves that you can use. Bring in Pat McAfee. Let Pat do the U.S. shows for the next 3 weeks while Corey's just have them swap for 3 weeks. It's not hard. It's a real simple thing. And plus, Pat would love it. You think Pat's going to just not want to go to Florida for 3 weeks? He'd love that. What do you mean, no, Pat? What do you mean, God, no, Pat? No, Pat is great. Yes, Chelsea Green running. It's a mixed bag, but I like it because she's at least getting a push and she's getting people on television. She's getting Piper Niven on television every week. She's now getting Alba Fyre on television every week. She's got Zelina Vega on television every week. Say what you want about Chelsea Green. She's getting people on television. They're doing a job of pushing her. The crowd loves her. Let her have her mid-card run and just go. And again, this isn't just the older women. Like, don't get me wrong. This isn't a veteran women need to go. It's we have a stockpile of young talent that need to be on the main roster because we have more talent coming into NXT than we can keep track of. Again, it's not about getting rid of a particular group of talent. It's about making sure that the talent level is at a right level across the board. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have Nia have a championship. Bring her back down to NXT and give her the Women's North American title.
Yep.
I understand that a lot of people are going to be upset that I'm saying bring her back to NXT. Mia's always been her best when she's been in NXT. She's always kind of mattered when she... No, Ed does not hate old dude. Oh, that's where I thought this was going to go, and I hate it. Peggy, I'm thinking about revoking your open invitation to Wednesdays now. No, I'm just kidding. No, again, there's a large group of people who I think could use more seasoning, and I think there's a large group of people who aren't being used except to showcase.
I'm just letting him dig himself into the hole at this point.
I haven't dug any holes here. I'm praising the job we're doing at developing young talent, and I want them pushed on the main roster. I don't understand how there's so much hate. Yes, me is coded. Asher, we're going to go to the next segment so I can stop getting yelled at. We get Javon Evans backstage.
Look at dang.
Javon says that he gets what Trick was talking about. He talks about being assaulted. He says he hates it. He says that we've got to go ahead and get our NXT back. To which Trick looks at him and goes, no, this isn't our NXT. This is... He almost sounded like Ethan Page. I think Ethan had his hand up Trick's ass when he was doing this promo. He starts talking about how this is my NXT and how you'll never be champion. And I'm like, the fuck? Did Trick Williams and Ethan Page switch bodies for this? Is this freaky NXT? Freaky Tuesday?
I was gonna say, am I thinking about it later? Because isn't this like the second time that Javon tries to talk to Trick Williams as well, and he gets that kind of like, I don't want to say pushback, but like that kind of fired up answer from Trick, if that makes sense. I'm like, you would think like somebody like Javon, the younger, newer guy, going to somebody like Trick, especially as a black man, like going from like a younger to an older black man that's risen to the top of the mountain here in NXT. He probably looks at him like, oh, I could be like him kind of thing. And now you made me think about like this is like the second, maybe third time that he answers to him in that sort of way. And it made me think of what you said about the group as well. It's like that could kind of be something that will come up later as well. It's like we have the connection with Trick and Javon there, and with Dion Lennox and Trick as well so far. So maybe.
Yeah. Trick talks to him and says that, what, are we supposed to be friends just because we both have dreads? He tells him that he'll never be champion. He walks away. Lexus King, for some dumb reason, decides to walk in the room and says, yeah, you'll never be champion. Hell, you'll probably never even be Heritage Cup champion. And I'm like, no, we're going to put the Heritage Cup championship on Javon. Why are we doing that? And then Javon punched him in the face, and I felt better.
True. And Lexus.
Oh. Yeah, Lexus King. Oh. I just don't know. I thought I had a really good rant, and apparently it just means that I hate women. What happened there? Yeah, get both of them off my screen. That'd be great. Speaking of people on my screen, Stax was on my screen with the family, and he was telling them that Tony should stay back, and Tony looked like he was going to be upset and said, no, it's a good idea. It was a bad idea. Stax set up Tony D'Angelo.
Yeah, it does look that way.
Doesn't it just look that way?
Yeah, it's like, don't be suspicious.
I've already been suspicious tonight, apparently. But we're going to go to Astrid now, and she talks about La Primera's first in-ring promo as a double champion.
I liked it, though. I feel like she's getting better and better on the mic, and that's something that's really impressive for somebody that hasn't been doing it for that long. Because if you think about how long she's been here so far, she doesn't always have a promo. She's had interviews here and there, but I feel like little by little she keeps growing on what she's saying, and I feel like she's not only growing in that aspect, but growing in the connection that she has with the crowd. And it's like, I don't even know how to explain it, but she's been growing in that aspect of it so well, like better than I thought she would. Because you kind of see her like, not always, but I would say like a lot of people end up getting those like what chance when they're like international and people that English is not their first language. But it's always nice when people like her that don't get those chances and get accepted for, for growing and learning the way she is so far. So I'm really, really happy for her the way she's been doing so well on the mic already. And thinking about this is just the start of it. So I know she's going to get better and better based on how it's been so far. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to hear her more often. And I like also that she's one of those people that she, not talking about this promo, but like in general too, in the interviews, that she does very well when she does both languages too. I like the mix that she does because it's one of those like it's easy to, like people could easily understand her even if they don't know the language. You can get the context of it as well. So I feel like she's doing really great with the promo. So I'm very glad I can see her more often doing that.
Yeah, she says, English isn't my first language, but wrestling is my first language. And this proves it, and she points to her North American Championship, which felt weird because she pointed to the lesser than title. It just felt weird that that's the one she chose to point to, but it's fine. It's great. She points to that. She says she could have gone anywhere in the world, but she chose to be in NXT because she wanted to make history. And now she wants her next opponent to just come on out here and get in her face and set this up. And out came the neon starburst himself, Jordynne Grace. God, who the fuck let Jordynne Grace walk out of the house looking like that?
I adore her post of like her getting the shoes and trying them on. And
I don't mind the shoes. The shoes were the least objectionable portion of this entire outfit.
Wait, do I put in the overlay right to show it? I always put in the overlays.
No, you can put in the overlay. But like my God, like I have again, it's just maybe they just wanted to make sure she was as bright as can be so that Jada would make sure she look at this. Again,
No.
the shoes are the least objectionable part of this entire outfit.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought of this when I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Shut up, STG.
So
But
I'm
no,
glad when Twitter I'm not the only one that's seen that. Just in case.
no. I haven't seen enough but SpongeBob SquarePants to see it, but as soon as I saw it once, I couldn't unsee it. Took 2 reps to get her back on her feet. So she comes out. She wants to be the challenger. Jada comes out and spears her, essentially beats her down. Jada gets in Stephanie's face and essentially challenges her. She says a lot of things that I'm not going to repeat because I've already gotten myself in enough trouble tonight. But think of all those remember all those great OTM promos that we talked about in the beginning? Them rolling dice, them playing games, all the things that they did. Yeah, she mentioned all of that and said none of that matters. And I'm like, are we rewriting fucking history here now? Or what the fuck are we doing? Why are we whitewashing Parker's entire history now? I don't get it. But Jada versus Stephanie was set. And the best part was I was thinking about this and I'm going, which title is Jada Parker going for? Because she doesn't feel like a world champion competitor against Stephanie McCoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Especially not now. But she is. She is.
Yeah.
Oh, I just, and like I said, I understand that it's like my style of fashion is probably not like acceptable to most people, but like, come on, nobody could have thought that was a good idea, right? No, Jordan Grace is the match for Stephanie for the women's championship at Stand and Deliver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you, Andre. Anyways, no, Rob, I do not.
Thank you,
Anyways,
Rob.
no, so like Stephanie versus Jordan is the match at Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, I think so.
So Stand and Deliver card right now, like essentially the entire card is Trick versus Oba versus Javon, potentially versus Eddy Thorpe.
Mm-hmm. Still not interesting, but okay.
Ricky Saints versus Sean Spears.
Mm-hmm.
Versus probably Tony D'Angelo. I'd imagine it's a 3-way match there.
Mm-hmm.
The North American Women's Championship match, which I have to believe is going to be Fallon Henley defending in a multi-person, probably ladder match. Because I don't want the title not defended on the show, but I also don't want Stephanie defending twice on the biggest show of the year.
That's true.
So I think it's got to be one or the other, and I think the North American Championship with Fallon is a whole lot easier to rip away from Stephanie via shenanigans than anything else.
Yep.
And then I think you got a tag team title match. Again, probably multi-team. Fraxium versus Hank Tank versus Yoshiki and Briggs versus ENT probably. I don't know. I mean, they were on TV twice tonight. Sure, put them in that match. I don't care. No Eddy Thorpe for NXT champion. No, yes, probably.
I think the North American one, if anything, yeah.
Yeah, I think she loses in the main event, and I think she loses via shenanigans. Like, I think that makes sense. Yeah. The double champion thing is a gimmick. It shouldn't be something that goes on for very long. It ties up a title. It ties up storylines. It makes things convoluted. It's never once been a good idea. It wasn't a good idea for Seth Rollins. It wasn't a good idea for Becky Lynch. It's not a good idea for her. It's never a good idea. because all it does is take creativity and flush it down the fucking toilet. So the only thing I can think of is the other idea that I've been throwing out. She wins next week. Fallon calls bullshit, and at Stand and Deliver, you go ahead and you do the 2 out of, basically it's almost like a 2 out of 3 falls match. It's a 2 falls match. And you go ahead and you do Stephanie versus Jordan versus Jada versus Fallon. Winner of the first fall is the North American champion. Winner of the second fall is the NXT Women's Champion.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I don't want to say I don't want to call it awkward, but that just like out of place in this whole thing is just like by having her have the 2 championships, and let's say that we do get, as an example, next week that Fallon and her is the opening match, you're gonna get your world champion pinned for another championship at the same time. It's like that kind of like, I don't want to say it seems awkward, but it just like I feel like it doesn't help in the end, because Fallon could be like, oh, I won the North American Championship, but I just beat the world champion at the same time, and that's like the only like trouble that I see by having her being a double champion at the moment, that I feel like it doesn't, even with the shenanigans at the end, Fallon's gonna have to pin her. So
yeah, and just so we're clear, Jada versus Stephanie opens the show, and they're main eventing with Fallon versus Jada versus Stephanie, which screams new champion screwy finish.
Yep.
Because you wouldn't do you should do the screwy finish in the beginning of the show, so the fans aren't bullshit the rest of the show, or are bullshit the rest of the show, so they're on her side in the main event. But it's fine, whatever. It is what it is. I don't mind both the challengers. I don't mind her having to wrestle twice. But like I said, it just kind of kills creativity, because there's only so many stories you can tell at a time, and it really just throws things off and doesn't need to. We get a Hank Tank promo about being extreme, and I hated every second of it, because apparently I hate everything and I hate fun. I don't know. Briggs and Inamura defeat Hank Tank. I was happy. Hank Tank got beat up. Yay! It was a fine match. It did what it did. I mean, I didn't want it. I didn't need it. I got it, and I'm okay with it. But it's fun since 1989. Not quite that long, but it's been a while. I had fun on December 17th when I went to NXT Live. No, I mean, do you have any more thoughts on Briggs and Inamura defeating Hank Tank?
No, it wasn't one of
It was
my...
a match that happened. We're moving on.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a match that happened and the bell rang and there was a winner.
We had something fun on the show here. Eddy Thorpe walks into the locker room, and slowly everybody just looks at him and walks away. Like, I don't know if he smelled bad. I don't know what it was, but nobody wanted to be near this poor bastard. And then, if they couldn't make this any more of a Mark Talks wrestling promo in the world, they then have him walk up to Ridge fucking Holland and be like, we're buddies. And I'm like, oh, God. Oh, God. Why would you do this to him, NXT? Why would you do this to him, NXT? My fucking God.
Not that one of all people.
And he says, you know what, Ridge? Me and you are a lot alike. People hate us. They don't love us. You know, they want to do sparkly toy. You know, we've been here for years and they just don't appreciate us. Ridge is like, yeah, you know, fuck it. It's their problem. I don't give a shit. He's like, but you know what? You take care of your sports entertainer. I'll take care of mine. Spoiler alert, neither of them took care of either sports entertainer. Because again, this is sports entertainment, and the sports entertainers typically win.
That's true.
I mean, yeah, at least that way I wouldn't have to talk about them on Tuesdays. That'd be fun. I would say send them to Evolve, but I talk about that almost every Wednesday, so I definitely don't want to do that.
That's true.
We then get a 6-person tag team match between the family and... All right, So they really need to work on their pronunciation at the booth, because I was very sure that they called them the Colin. And I'm like, oh, it's a Raven reference. This is really cool. And no, the group is called the Culling, which made me think of sparkly vampires. So now I don't see them in any other way other than sparkly vampires. And yes, I have given a Cullen to each of them.
Which one's which?
Brooks is Edward solely for the fact that he's the brooding one. Yeah, I know he's not the main attraction, but he's the only brooding one.
Okay.
Jasper, you know what? No, I'll take that back. Brooks is Jasper. He's annoying. Nobody likes him, and he's not the main part of the book.
Okay.
Sean Spears can be Edward Cullen then, because he's the main attraction. He's the sparkly one. And then Niko Vance is the big, tall, dumb one that was dating Rosalie. I can't remember his name.
Oh, you made me forget about it.
You know who I'm talking about.
I know. I'm trying to remember his name. Oh my gosh.
He was the only entertaining one in the entire family in the movies.
And hello, you're asking me about Twilight. I'm embarrassed that I remember his name at this point. Okay, it was Jasper, Rosalie.
Yeah. Emmett.
Oh my god.
Emmett.
There you go. Oh my god, I didn't blank out on his name.
I knew it was an E, but I couldn't think of it off the top of my head.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then of course, Izzy Dame is Rosalie, because she's sure as hell not Alice. Alice was nice. Everybody loved Alice. So she's obviously the bitchy Rosalie.
Yes. That's
so
true.
yes, it was indeed vampires versus the mafia.
Mm-hmm.
I had to give myself something to look forward to, because this match, this was a match. I will say, I like Niko Vance more and more every time I see him work. He's really good. You know who else is really good? Luca. Luca's really good at this too.
I love Luca.
Luca and Niko were really good in this match. Everybody else was kind of okay.
The thing that for me, every time I see Niko, I think that it just, I don't want to call it random, but I feel like he came out of nowhere compared to everybody else, because usually most people, like, you see them like in backstage segments, so you're like, I don't know your name, but I see you. I know who you are. So like later on when you come up, I've seen you. Or like when they do those like moments like in the locker room, like they did with Rich and Eddy, you can see people like that in the background. So you're like, okay, I'll remember your face for later. But he was one of those, like, he came out of nowhere, and there was that, and they're like, oh, it's Niko Vance. I was like, was I supposed to know that? Did I miss something? Have I been missing the show this whole time, and I missed this dude? So every time I see him, I'm just like, I don't know you, though. That's the only thing that I feel like I like him, but I feel like I can't connect with him yet just because I don't know him. All I know is his name, and that's it. I feel like they haven't really given us a background into him like they do with most people.
Yeah, Spears just dropped him on us 1 week. He was the driver in the car. And then all of a sudden next week he had a name and he was part of the group, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
It's one of those moments that
more and more.
Yeah, but it's one of those moments that makes me like think, I'm like, did I miss something in here? Because I'm like, did I watch your show? I'm like, I watch NXT on a weekly basis. I don't remember seeing you before. I feel like you came out of nowhere for me.
I guarantee this happened on fucking Level Up. We just don't watch Level Up, and that's what happened.
I don't know. It makes me doubt myself though. I'm like, are you sure I haven't seen you before?
The irony of Alice is that she's the most lovable, played by one of the most arrogant actresses at the time. I mean, probably. I don't know much about that.
I don't know. I've seen her in person at least, but I haven't interacted with her that close to say anything.
Yeah, like there's nothing wrong with this match. Like there was nothing objectionably bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
But much like the Hank Tank versus Briggs and Inamura match, it just kind of happened.
Yep.
And the reason why is it's because it's the less than version of the tag match that they should be doing, which is just do the fucking 8-man tag.
Yep.
Like, why are we doing a 6-man tag? Just do the fucking 8-man tag and get Tony and Spears in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what should be happening. All of this to set up the angle where Tony D'Angelo gets beat up by Dark State. Fine, I guess. Like, I don't know. It just seemed weird.
Mm-hmm. It does.
It just seemed weird. That's me with this new group. I know Dion, but have absolutely no knowledge of the rest of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the biggest problem with Dark State. They had this great promo tonight where they're, again, well, you know what? I'm going to save it. We'll get to it when we get to the promo. But like, They had this really great promo, but it meant nothing. Stephanie's backstage with Ava. Fallon comes in, bitching and whining for her match. Stephanie says, give it to her. Fallon tricks her into making it go second because Fallon's a smart woman and she understands that if she goes second, she has a better chance of winning. Good logic. I like that. If you're going to have Stephanie lose, have her defend a title that she needs to win first so that she can have a reason to lose to Fallon Henley without getting everybody up in arms. She's wrestling 2 matches in one night. She just can't handle it. And she drops one by nefarious means after already having wrestled a hard-fought match in the opener. Perfect. Mm-hmm. I love it. It makes perfect sense. I still don't understand why Jade is going for the NXT title. But sure, we can do this.
I think just a filler match, though, until we get to stand and deliver. I think that's just it. That's the only thing I can think of, at least.
And there's still bigger problems with. I mean, yes, she could. Ophelia, she could very much so keep both belts and look more badass. But again, as we talked about earlier, I just think that it gets into problems when you get to stand and deliver. You start, unless you don't. You have too many women who need that North American Championship to be an active title fairly often. To have Stephanie holding both. I think there's enough talent at the top of both divisions that you don't need one person holding both. I understand why you had to make the pivot for the NXT Championship because Julia was injured and she had surgery, and get well Julia. We see her on the scooter, so we know that the surgery is official. But like, we said it from the beginning. Having Stephanie and Julia be the top 2 in the top 2 champions in the women's division was going to cause problems. And it's already caused problems. And it's been less than 2 months. Thankfully, the answer was easy. Julia got herself hurt. So we could easily transition from that to make it slightly less problematic. This is a serious question. Who has held a double title for a long period of time and still had decent creative with it? Seth or Becky?
Mm-hmm. That's what I can think
Becky
of.
held the SmackDown title for what? 2 months? Before she lost it?
I think more or less, yeah.
I know Seth had it for, feels like 5 or 6.
Yeah,
when he was the
he
Raw
feels
champion. And the... Asuka. When did Asuka hold 2 titles? Was she the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion at one point, maybe? During the pandemic?
Hi, Dara. I like Dara's answer, too.
Bailey was a double champ once, yeah. I don't count tag titles. For the sake of this, we're not counting tag team champions and a world champion. Like that doesn't count. Like we're talking about like world champion or a secondary championship. Like Becky, Seth, things like that. I want to say Asuka held both titles during the pandemic when she was facing both. But again, the creativity about that was good because she was facing Sasha and Bailey at the same time. So the Boss and Hug connection thing made sense and they were able to make good creative out of it. Yeah, during the pandemic, when she was on Raw. Oh, and the tag team titles with Charlotte. Oh. Again, tag titles, yeah. Why do I not even remember her being tag team champions with Charlotte? Good God, the pandemic. You're muted. You pulled it in. Woohoo! Ashton finally did it.
Darn you. I remember that, I forgot what the beginning of the storyline was, but I do remember that she needed a partner. And it was one of those like, oh, who else is going to return by Charlotte? And Charlotte returned and won the titles with her that same night. And I forgot who they were going against. Though. I don't know if it was...
Probably the Boston Hug connection.
Hug. I think it was
what happened with Sasha and Bailey.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the Rollins thing, though.
I know it's around the time of Sting. So it's what, 2014, 2015?
That's what I thought.
He fights John Cena at Night of Champions. He fights what? Cena and Sting.
Okay, because if it's the one I'm thinking, this is 2015. He says he was U.S. champion for 28 days, but world heavyweight
Is it really
champion
only
for
20
200.
days?
But then it says world heavyweight champion for 221 days. So I don't know if it's that one. I think it is because it's the only one that has it both in a row.
Yeah, no, that's the one. That's the one. I just didn't realize it was only 28 days. That's weird.
Yeah, it feels longer than that.
The pandemic was a bizarre time for wrestling. Yeah, WWE and US champ at the same time in 2015. Side note, I just saw the video Jordan Grace posted to her Instagram with all the women on the NXT roster. Yeah, no, she'll be out way past July. I don't think we see Julie again until what, the fall? Ashley, what do you think?
Okay, so the Becky one was 2020. The Becky one was 2021, 2022, right? I think.
Yeah.
So it says that she was SmackDown Women's Champion for 62 days, but then Raw Women's Champion for 162 days.
Yeah, so that's the triple threat main event at Mania.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
she's longer than Seth.
Yeah.
But hers was worse than Seth's. Because at least Seth was creative. Again, it goes back to creativity. They took those 28 days with Seth and they had him feuding with John Cena and Sting. And Sting was feuding with the entire corporation. And there was even a Jon Stewart in there too. Like there was.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It was a crazy fucking month, man. Like, let me tell you, that was a crazy fucking month.
Yeah.
And again, they could do that with Stephanie. I don't think that there's the creative ability with Stephanie in the position that she's in to do stories fun enough to. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you making us think. It's never fun.
You threw me off my game for a moment. And I'm like, I don't know. It felt longer than that. But...
Speaking of matches that happened, Jacy Jayne took on Karmen Petrovic.
What was that?
This match was a device to break up Ashante and Karmen. They did all of this to do a backstage promo that she wasn't even the main portion of.
Yeah, she was in the background.
But thankfully, it gave me a reason not to pay attention to fucking Jada Parker.
But it's like, it just feels like, for example, to me, the way I saw it, these are two ladies that are basically established in the women's division. It's not like one of them is like a newbie. It's like, oh, I gotta win because you're the rookie and I'm the veteran sort of like scenario. So it felt kind of awkward to see it be that short at the same time. It's like, it's not one of those like, oh, I'm new, I gotta start on a winning streak and I'll beat all these people that nobody knows sort of storyline. It's like, it happened and then all of a sudden I'm like, I feel like I saw the entrance and then I saw the ending and then I went, what happened? It just didn't feel like it fit for either one of them. Aside from like the breakup part of it, which I get, but it just felt like it didn't fit. It felt awkward. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, it's weird. And again, like this also gave me so many. Yeah, we'll get to that backstage promo. There's so much to get to with this because it continues making Fallon feel like the third most important piece of her own faction. Like, she's the star of the faction by the fact that she has the championship. But she always, like, literally, Jacy's calling shots. Like, she's the one who does the motion for Jazmyn and Fallon to do the whole cross thing to go to their sides of the like everything about this is Jacy's faction, with the exception of that Jacy's not the one with the championship. Ever. And like, Terrible Toxic is just needs to be broken up. Put Fallon on the main roster, let her lose to everybody on the mother on the main roster and learn, and just be her own thing. Stop putting her in groups, stop putting her in tag teams. She's fairly good on her own. Just let her be.
It feels like the same with her and Jacy though. I feel like they both could do well on their own, but I don't know why they're not given the opportunity really, because if you notice, if you look at both of their careers in NXT so far, they've both been majority in groups so far. It's super rare when they've been by themselves somehow. And I feel
Jacy had that small period of time when they broke up Toxic
Yeah.
Attraction.
It didn't take too long though, and she wasn't even by herself for too long before Fatal Attraction really started going off. It feels like kind of weird in that sense because I feel like you could give her her moment to shine. And like I said, I always think it's like one of the biggest mistakes NXT made was breaking up Toxic Attraction. You could have kept her and Gigi together as a team because they were fine by themselves. The whole storyline they had was awful to begin with. So we could have just, if I could erase that from history, I would have kept them together the whole time. And Fallon, I feel like after everything that she went through with Briggs and Jensen, you would have thought that maybe she should try to shine on her own somehow. But it's just like, no, here, I'll be in another group. That's the same thing. It's like going one step forward, three steps back. So what's the point? So
Yeah, remember how she cut that promo talking about how she's on her own and she's doing this for herself, and then 2 weeks later she's in a brand new faction? Now, you know Ella better than I do. Do you think Ella would approve of this message or disapprove of this message?
let's get to the source. Let me ask the source.
All right, you ask the source.
Let's ask the source with the question. Wait, I was gonna say don't take out the comment from the screen because I don't feel like typing.
Take a picture. Oh, good God. Laziness continues. We had a Hank Tank promo about them trying to figure out stuff about being extreme and all that kind of good shit. And Wes and TNT came in and laughed and left. I don't know why they're laughing. Didn't they lose at Sacrifice?
I think so. I didn't even watch it. Sorry, I've been catching
With
up.
Steiner Math? Didn't they lose at Sacrifice with Steiner Math?
I think so. Yeah, I think they lost.
I don't get it. And then we go back to that backstage promo where I just paid attention to Karmen and Ashante in the back, where she slapped him and walked away. Apparently, Jada Parker did in fact do stuff during this promo. And again, I've gone back and watched it. It's a good promo. It's not a bad promo. Jada Parker is good at talking on the microphone. But don't put stuff behind her when you know half your audience doesn't want her being pushed for a very obvious reason. Hollywood Naster nickname justified. Hollywood the type, taking pictures of text, except the Hollywood name. Remember that memorable feud with Fallon and Tiffany where Tiffany was embarrassing those? But yes, that was great. And then they quickly went away from that, and all of a sudden she was in Toxic Attraction. Terrible Toxic. Fatal Influence. Toxic Attraction 2.0.
Same thing.
They're all the same thing. They're all terrible things.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby Stats. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Ricky Saints takes on Ridge Holland, and STG cannot get into Ricky Saints because he doesn't like Ricky Saints' theme song. That is a direct quote from his messages to me on Twitter, which is, "It's a bit too corny for my liking, so I can't take him seriously." I don't hate the theme song. I don't. It's not good, but it's not the worst thing Def Rebel ever did. It feels kind of New Orleans. It feels kind of Ricky Starks.
Yeah, I do miss the AEW one. Mikey Ruckus did a great job with it. I'll say that.
Well, yes, but we can't do Mikey Ruckus on WWE television. He works for AEW.
Yeah, that's the only thing I miss it. But it's not bad, but I do miss the older theme song.
Because he is technically employed by AEW, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes.
He's their Jim Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And again, I like Mikey Ruckus's work. I think he does fantastic stuff. His theme songs are bangers.
Oh, so we got an answer from the source. Yeah.
Okay.
She's still typing a little more, but I'll start. She said fashion-wise, sure, but we haven't seen her true ranges of babyface and heel yet, though. She's like, I'm watching you on Twitch, by the way.
Well, thank you for watching us. We greatly appreciate it. I just figured if we're going to talk about Mickie James, we should just go to Mickie James' #1 fan.
I was going to say, we got to go right to the source. I'm like, I like Mickie, but I know that it's definitely, for Ella's a different thing, so we got to go to Ella for that.
Yes, I think Mickey's fantastic. I adore Mickie James. I think she's probably deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame.
There you go.
There she is in the chat. But no, it's like I said, I see somebody bring up Mickie James, and I'm like, I don't agree with this, but I want Ella's opinion because maybe there's something I'm missing here between Fallon and Mickie.
Yeah.
Ricky Saints defeats Ridge Holland. It was a good match. It was story of the night. It was fine. The match did the things the match needed to do, but at the end of the day, fuck, I didn't want to watch it.
That's the other thing I was gonna say. It might be good, but I couldn't care about it, and that's a terrible thing to think about. But I couldn't care less about it.
I mean, Ricky looked good. Ricky sold well. It's another chance for me to get to see more of Ricky Starks because as much as I like Ricky Starks, I didn't watch a lot of Ricky Starks because obvious reasons. But I like Ricky Starks. I like what he does. I like what he says. I like the things he does. I think his character in NXT has been so fun. For him to be like this outsider, babyface, looking around and going, what the fuck is going on here? What is this place? And again, I think there's a double-edged sword in there. And I'm not going to talk about why I think that. And I'm not going to talk about where it comes from or what he's referencing. But I think that there's an explicit reason why Ricky Starks is saying and doing the things he's doing. And I think it's a nod to something else. No, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I think that there's an Easter egg there with all of these Ricky Starks comments. I think that there's a thing. Because we're going to skip the group promo for a minute. The Dark State promo will come after this. Ricky Saints had a promo with the Cullens. Or the Cullen. Whatever. The Cullens. He talks to the Cullens. And he's going back and forth with Izzi. And it's fun. I like this. She's like, you're an outsider. We don't like you. We don't want you here. And you just don't measure up. And he's like, I measure up where it counts. And the crowd gets real loud. Sex joke. Yeah. Woo. And then they kind of start walking off. And he looks at Shawn Spears, and Shawn Spears looks at him. And Shawn Spears scoffs and walks away. But in that promo, I think either Ricky said it or Izzi said it. Somebody dropped best in the world, which is an obvious reference to him being friends with CM Punk and him being very actively pro CM Punk when CM Punk left. Yes, the you don't even go here stuff. This is Bianca Belair of the new Bianca Belair. You don't even go here. But I just think like that Ricky's too smart Mark fan. Like he knows his fan base. His fan base is smart marks. Let's not cut around the bush. The people who love Ricky Starks the most are the people in these rooms talking about wrestling on the internet. His biggest fans aren't the people who watch week in and week out as a casual viewer. It's people like us who go to Twitter. So I think that there are references that he's making for a reason because he's still angry and bitter.
Probably. I would too.
Like I said, I'm not taking shots. I'm just saying Ricky's taking shots. Ricky's saying things because it just seems too perfect that every time Ricky's on TV, it always seems like somebody's doing something foolish. And he just looks and goes, what's going on here? What's this chaos? Like, it's every fucking time we see him backstage, he's saying it. They're doing it for a reason. And I guarantee you the reason is because Ricky Starks is asking to do it.
I didn't think about it that way. That's a good point.
And again, it has nothing to do with my opinion of other things. I think it entirely has to do with his opinion about things. So it's not me taking shots, just so we're clear. I've been doing really good not taking shots at other wrestling companies for a long time here. Being a good little boy.
Yeah, you have a nice streak so far.
Speaking of things that aren't being good little boys, we have Dark State.
I missed this, so you got to tell me about this part.
Oh boy, Dark State. So, yeah, I know. People enjoy it. Some people like it, some people hate it. I'd rather not alienate people if I don't have to. So, Dark State. They come out and they start cutting a promo talking about how, they're making a point. They're making it, people want to know why we're here. We're here to change the way things are. We're here to change the paradigm, things like that. They want to change the way people look at them and at NXT and at people that are coming up from the bottom. They say, we're not meant for the sidelines. We're here to be in the front. So we're going to change the way NXT's done. I'm like, all right, that makes sense. Who the fuck are you? Because I still, to this day, don't know who the fuck cut the Fyre promo on behalf of Dark State. Because he didn't say his name. I know who didn't cut the promo. I know it wasn't Osiris Griffin because he says, oh, that's a good point. I know it's not Dion Lennox because I actually know who the fuck he is. And he's in the back not saying anything.
Mhm.
But I have no clue who that gentleman was that cut that Fyre promo, and I really wish I did. And I can do the internet. I can do the research, and I can find out who it is. I shouldn't fucking have to. I should be told by commentary who these people are. Especially since Vic Joseph said, oh, look, it's these guys from the PC that we know. The first fucking night they told us we know who these people are. Just give us their fucking names.
Mhm.
Y'all are so on the sidelines that we don't know who you are. Yes.
It's
Like I said, I'm all for them being mysterious and being just like doing what they want and creating chaos. But they need to, if Retribution taught us anything, you can't cause chaos without literally telling us what you're meaning to do.
yeah.
You have to have a purpose.
I feel like one thing I would have liked for them to do, not with Dion because we knew Dion. I knew a little bit of Cutler beforehand as well, but I feel like what I would have done is have them, if at least in the background or interacting with people somehow, so at least people know their names. And like kind of like what people going back to Dion, like Dion getting dismissed by Trick, and they're like, oh, that could be one of the reasons why he's being the way he is, for example. But even though you're not directly telling me that they were part of the group by having them like behind the scenes somehow, but I feel like in the end, you could have been like, oh, that's the guy that so and so did this to, so maybe that's why he's in the group. Like you made me kind of connect the dots in that kind of way. And like you said, just at least giving me a name, some kind of background to the people a few weeks before you even have the group come out. Because I think like one big, for example, mistake on there and that I see, I compare it to like the Shield. If you think about the Shield got a reaction on the main roster. Why? Because people knew who they were from the Indies. For like I said, like 2/3 of them, people knew who they were because of NXT a little bit at that point. So they got some sort of reaction. And not only that, but I feel like if you're gonna debut them and then the next week or so, then give us a video package or them doing a promo telling us their names and why they're there. It's like, this is the name of our group. We're here because this happened to me and this caused me to be here. And at least that way, when they come out, people will be like either cheering or booing them because they're either gonna agree or disagree with the reasoning behind the group. But if you're gonna just bring them out, not even tell us who they are, or what the purpose is of this group, they're not gonna get a reaction. And if you notice, that's really what happened when they debuted. We got a reaction because it was something that came out of nowhere, but it wasn't a reaction because we knew who they were. So there's a big difference there as what the reaction happened. And I feel like they could have done better about presenting it, or even by now, before this tonight. I mean, before that, they should have told us at least who the people are within the group somehow. Because if not, they was like, what's the point of me if I cheer or boo you because I don't know you though? How do I react to you if I don't know what you're doing? And I feel like aside from Dion, we really don't have a backstory of anybody. And even then with Dion, it's just that we just know that he reads. So we don't even know much about his character either. It's just like, I don't know how to react to you right now because I don't know who you are or what your purpose is.
There's a lot of potential with this group because they don't look terrible. They look like a good group. They're doing good things. Like, I've made fun of them for just like attacking random people, but there's a benefit to just creating chaos for chaos sake, and that's fine. But The thing that Retribution did is, again, we didn't get their backstories, but at least we knew what their character names were. When Mustafa Ali took control of that group, this is Mace, this is T-Bar, this is Reckoning, this is Slapjack or Flapjack or whatever the fuck whatever Shane Thorne's name was. And whatever Mercedes Martinez's name was that one time she was out there with him and she had a name. And then she came backstage and she was like, get me the fuck out of this. And they sent her back down to NXT to work with Robert Stone. Slapjack. Okay. It was Slapjack. I don't know. I just want a purpose. And if their purpose is creating chaos, that's fine. That's a good purpose. Give me that. Tell me that. Tonight's promo worked because it gave me a purpose for them. I just need names to go along with the purpose. If commentary knows who they are, and they do, then tell us who they are. If they're performance center people, they're people we theoretically should know. So tell me who they are. Because the masks don't stay on long enough to fucking hide it. Like, Retribution was one thing. We don't need to know who Retribution was because they gave them names and their masks stayed on. Like it or hate Retribution. And again, my God, if Dijak ever sees this show, he's going to blow a fucking gasket, and I'm not going to be allowed at any more chaotic shows when he's there. But I want to like this because I think there's something there, especially if Javon Evans is the one in charge of this. I think it's a really fun thing if this is a Javon Evans heel turn hidden amongst all of this. And he takes down Obafemi with the help of the group, with the help of Dark State. He takes the NXT championship from Obafemi. That would make sense. It would do things. It would do so much good for Javon, for the group. It would give Obafemi a reason to lose.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good in Javon being the head of this group and being able to take down Obafemi. And it doesn't need to be a long time. It could be a short reign. But with a group like this, you can extend it just however long you need to. Why? Look at the Bloodline story. You want to talk about making a title reign last longer, just look at how the Bloodline did it. You can do it if you want to. Those names are literally banned in Nia's chat.
Don't blame her at all for that.
I don't blame her one bit. Oh, that's cool. You have the Reckoning vest. That's awesome. That is very cool. Next week, we got a promo package. It's Golden Edition of NXT. Javon Evans takes on Lexis King for the Heritage Cup. And Stephanie, as we've talked about a couple times tonight, is opening and closing the show, taking on both Jada Parker and Fallon Henley in separate matches for each of her championships. She'll be defending the NXT title in the first match and the North American Women's Championship in the second match. And then we had our main event. Hold on. I need more haterade. So, we talk about how Eddy Thorpe is the king of the underground. Or at least that's what he thinks of himself as commentary tells us. We haven't had a men's underground match since 2023. Men's underground match. They were very specific.
I know, but still, it doesn't feel like it's been that long.
2024.
I know. I wasn't even thinking about Lola, but it's still 2023 feels way off.
Dijak.
Weird.
Dijak.
I know, but it still feels way off. It doesn't feel like that was the last one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because was Dijak or Damon Kemp the last one?
But I thought Eddy had one before, didn't he?
Yeah, he's had 3. He's had 2. He had Eddy. He had Dijak and he had Damon Cap.
But it just doesn't feel like it's that far away. I don't know why. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's been for... Because you got to remember, Eddy then got put on the shelf every time he had an underground match because they didn't know what the fuck to do with him.
Yes.
And it would have been great if he hadn't lost this underground match in, 5.5 minutes?
I was shocked, but I wasn't, just because like I said, this is something that I mentioned even in the Sansi show, that little by little you see Trick grow into like a darker side almost, and like you can see him getting more aggressive. So it makes sense that he would win the show, like the match. But in the time though, I was like, what?
They didn't bury Eddy Thorpe, but they sure as hell didn't do him any favors in this
Exactly. Yes.
They didn't bury him because he's fine. But my God, did they really hurt his credibility?
Yeah, I don't know.
I liked the match. I've always liked the underground match when the men do it. And the reason why I like it when the men do it is because every women's underground match has featured Lola Vice, which is why I don't like the women's underground matches. But I think that there's something like, and again, I think Shayna Baszler is a really good person for the underground. I think Jada Parker was really good for the underground. I don't buy Lola Vice as like this badass fucking, like, I get that she was a UFC fighter, but like for the life of me, she doesn't portray it.
Yep.
My God, I missed the NXT Underground. Dude, I missed it when the men did this and it wasn't one person's specific match. Now, granted, Eddy Thorpe's the only man to do the NXT Underground, but like his were so far apart. Oh, she's talking about Raw Underground. She's talking about OG NXT Underground. She's talking about Raw Underground. She put Jazmyn Duke, and I'm like, oh shit. She's talking about Raw Underground with Shane McMahon on that. The human thumb, Shane McMahon. I loved NXT. I loved Raw Underground, except the first episode where they had the girls dancing in cages. But like every other one was really good. Like Nick Nemeth was the star of the Underground, and like that makes sense. I like that. What's his name? He was the big black dude. He was the big black dude in there. He was in NXT for a while. And then we got rid of him. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember his name. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking out on his name though.
Yeah. But like they built Underground for him.
Yeah.
Like he was like the main purpose of the Underground. Yes, Omos
Dabba-Kato.
showed up.
Dabba-Kato.
There we go, Dabba-Kato. That's the name.
I knew it was a strange one. I was like, I know it's two names. I can't think of it. Yeah.
There is a lot of things you can do with Baba Tunde. Yeah, Baba Tunde. Yeah, all of that. I like to call it. It's funny. I was watching YouTube Shorts the other day, and I came across the Ronda Rousey clip from Entourage, where Shayna and Jazmyn are at her shoulders when she's at. So Turtle comes in. I don't know how many people you've seen the Entourage. Turtle comes in and he's infatuated. He keeps hitting on Ronda Rousey, and she's Ronda Rousey, the cage fighter, and she's like, "Dude, I'd kill you in like a minute." And she's like, "That's fine." He's like, "That's fine. You know, if I last a full minute, do we get to go out on a date?" And she offers up something even better for him if he can last the full minute. And so they get in the cage and they fight, and he lasts the full minute. But in doing so, she literally breaks his arm. And the last thing from the clip is, is it worth it? He's like, uh-huh. But in that clip, you have both Jazmyn and Shayna at her, because it was filmed during the UFC Team Rousey shit that they did over there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, he did take a broken arm for that date. It is something he did. I've heard him talk about it a lot. Yeah, it's a fun little clip. I was never a big Entourage fan, but yes, The Ultimate Fighter. That's the name of the thing that Dana did. But I agree with Goodfella here too. Also, I like the mess at the end, but 5 minutes did Eddy so wrong. Yeah, it really did. And then Trick gets on the mic as he should, and he calls out Oba as he should, and Oba comes out ready for a fight as he should, and he took his shirt off, and the crowd went wild, which was great. And then they get in the ring, and they're face to face, and the lights go down, and Dark State. Well, okay. They say all 4 members of Dark State were there. I only ever saw one. The camera only ever pointed at one member of Dark State during this. And then Javon comes in out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, it's going to be 3-on-4. It's going to be Oba, who's essentially 2 guys. So it's essentially 4-on-4. And then they don't. Trick attacks Oba. Trick attacks Javon. They all start brawling. Javon gets to the top of the ring post without the ring ropes, which is an impressive feat by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And does the diving cutter, and knocks the fuck out of Oba Femi with the diving cutter. And Trick just stands there dumbfounded. And I'm like, that's a great build to your triple threat match for the and I've been saying the women need to main event Stand and Deliver. I'm going to now change my tune. If the match is Trick Williams versus Javon Evans versus Oba Femi, the men main event. Also, because I don't know if Stephanie versus Jordan is big enough to main event the biggest show of the year.
No, I'm keeping that.
Javon going to get beat by Oba. Javon can win the chip eventually, but his time is not now. I disagree. I agree with you if Javon's doing it by himself. If Javon's working with Dark State, I think it's the perfect time to give it to him and do it now. I think if he's working with Dark State, I think it's the perfect way to take it off Oba Femi, and then to have Oba have to fight his way through Dark State to get back to Javon Evans. It makes Javon feel good. It gives Javon a short title run, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for a kid who's 19 years old. There's a lot of career ahead of him. I think a short title reign wouldn't hurt him, especially to a guy like Oba Femi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy did not see it coming, and poor Trick blasted him. By the way, we won Javi. We saw Javi there. Javier Bernal was there.
And he was backstage too, and the Eddy Rich thing in the back too.
Yeah, he was there too. And he'll be on Evolve this week. Tomorrow night, you can catch him on Evolve taking on Luca Crusifino. That's going to be a fun match, and you can catch my review of that afterwards, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But that was NXT tonight. I had a lot of haterade for this show. There was a lot of good stuff. There was a lot of bad stuff. I think that there's an interesting mix of stuff on this show.
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing was like, oh, we're just going to let Javon have his mo. Oh, no. Okay, we pulled him back. Astrid, tell the good people where they can find you this week.
Nowhere, because I'll be resting, taking time off. No, I don't have anything else. You're muted.
All right, cool. So Astrid has nothing going on. We don't need to put up her socials.
Yeah. No, nothing else for the rest of the week, at least. Now you can find me again on Tuesday with you doing Taking Over, and then Making an Impact will be for me the following week, not this weekend. But yeah, other than that, you can find me. Well, there'll be TNA talk, just not with me this week. You can find me though on my Twitter, Blue Skies, Astrid Pizarro, and the Instagram and Thread, Astrid Pizarro 20. And most of you know, on the road to 300 subs, I'm at 297. So if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and hit like on the video as well. Still muted.
Fine. I'll unmute to do my things. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at edfries12584. You can occasionally find me on Blue Sky at edfries124 when I figure out how the fuck to work it and what buttons to press because it's confusing. You can find me every Tuesday night here with Ashton talking with Taking Over, not Talking Takeover. We put that show on hiatus for a while. We love when you're here too, Millie. We do love it when you're here. We miss you when you're not. We indeed miss Millie when she's not here. You can catch me every Wednesday night for the next few weeks as me and Andre talk all things Daredevil Born Again on Marvel Talk, where Ophelia Payne, in theory, has an open invitation anytime she wants. I know she filled my spot last week, and I greatly appreciated it. It had been a long week, and I just needed a break. You can also catch me talking about episodes 2 and 3 of WWE Evolve tomorrow night after Marvel Talk, as I go ahead and give a quick review of what I thought of week 2, and then go ahead and jump into week 3. It looks like Zeta Steele might be on this show. She was on the show last week. It was nice to see her there. Astrid made an appearance at Evolve last week, so nice of you to be there. Yes, Wendy Chu is there.
I know.
For those who don't know, Wendy Chu is Astrid because she takes naps before our show. Or at least she used to. She now has better things to do with her time than take a nap. But anyways, you can catch me on Sunday. I believe I should be there this week for POV. And I'm going to talk about the John Cena promo because I thought that thing was a fucking masterclass of how to cut a heel promo. I thought it was sensational. And Ashley didn't want me to talk about it here because it's not NXT related. So you can get my thoughts on that this Sunday morning as I go ahead and talk about that.
So yeah, save it for more the positive things.
You can also go ahead and catch Ole at all of these fine places at Ole Podcasts on almost all social medias and on YouTube and Twitch at our local establishment where you're probably watching this right now. So go ahead and give it a like, give it a subscribe if you're on YouTube. Go ahead and give us a follow if you're on Twitch. If you want to subscribe and support us financially, that'd be great. For those of you that do watch our content on YouTube, if you could leave it on a playlist and let it run in the background every now and then, we'd greatly appreciate it. We're almost there when it comes to watch hours, to getting super chats and memberships. So we can go ahead and do that and try to pay back Astrid and Bobby for all the wonderful things that they supply for us, that we can go ahead and do these fine shows, including the StreamYard that runs this show. Because if me and Astrid had to figure out how to do this in OBS, we'd be in trouble. So if you can go ahead and do that, we would greatly appreciate it. Remember that we got content coming almost every day of the week here at our local establishment, including Honor Ramble, including the Mother Tucking Post Show, Making an Impact, Marvel Talk, Ring Respect Radio, Point of View. All kinds of fantastic stuff is here. I didn't miss any, did I? Those are most of the shows here.
You said a drag race show, right?
Yeah, Mother Tucking Post Show.
Yeah, that's it for now.
And hopefully we can convince Ella J to do a Survivor show coming up in the next couple of weeks, as we got Survivor coming up every Wednesday. I think it'd be fun to have one of those every Wednesday night. So nudge, nudge, Ella, I think you should get some friends and do that show. That'd be great. But for myself, for Ash Mazzaro, have a great night. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
I am in misery.
Watching me when I'm